what sort of challenges should we be working on? You know, the first management guru, I think, in the world, an American woman, Mary Parker Follett, she was born shortly after the Civil War. She started her career as a community organizer in Boston and ended her career giving advice to large industrial companies around the world. But she had an extraordinary heart for people at work. And for her, her lifelong goal was to free the human spirit, the energies of the human spirit at work. And she realized there were many worthwhile goals in the world as well, but she believed that one of the noblest was to ensure that every human being had the opportunity to develop and profit from their unique gifts at work. And her early work inspired many others, people like Elton Mayo and Kurt Lewin, Douglas McGregor, Eric Trist here in the UK, Edwards Deming, Ed Schein, Chris Argyris. All these people, all these great management thinkers over decades asked the question, how do we build work environments where human beings flourish? And I wonder, if they were thinking about us today, what sort of progress would they think we've made? I think about Kurt Lewin, a great management pioneer who fled from Nazi Germany, and for his whole life he had an antipathy towards authoritarian structures. Or Douglas McGregor, who had his roots in the Christian social gospel movement and 60 years ago wrote the book, The Human Side of Enterprise. So if he was here this morning talking to you about what's going on in your organizations, would he go like, wow, cool, agile teams, I would have never thought of that? Or would he go, we were doing that 60 years ago in dog food factories. Is that really all the progress that you've made? Because I would argue that the promise of truly human-centric organizations and truly capable organizations is still a distant dream. The fact is our organizations are less capable than we are as human beings, which sounds a little odd because they're filled with human beings. A few years ago, I was asked to talk at a conference where the subject was executing strategy through people. And I wondered whether we had an alternative. I thought that was the only thing people are using monkeys, I don't know, but I thought we're people, top to bottom, people. And yet in many ways, our organizations are less adaptable than we are. The people I know are people who take holidays in new places. They go back to school. They take new jobs. They sometimes take new life partners. They're constantly changing, evolving, resilient at their core. Our organizations are not. The people I know are deeply creative. Whether it's poetry, whether it's working on their digital photos, redesigning their garden, they always have some creative project. But our organizations struggle with innovation. The people I know, every person has an inspiring story to tell about their life, something they've overcome, and yet so often our organizations feel like emotional dead zones. So there's something fundamental that we have to change here, and the data backs this up. Let me share some data, and I have to tell you in advance, most of this data kind of pisses me off. How is it that here we are, 2019, and less than 20% of employees around the world are deeply engaged in their work? That comes from data from Gallup, their global workforce survey. And they find that around the world, only 17% of people are emotionally engaged in their work. 51% kind of show up every day, just are there, and a third of them are actively disengaged. These are the saboteurs if they had a chance. And if we were in any other field, if we were physicians here this morning and somebody told you that of the 100 people that came through your surgery last week, only 17% of them had any improvement at all, that somehow you killed a third of them, that would not be a good outcome. That would be scandalous. And yet this data has hardly changed in 60 years. And it's not about the work. If you ask people about the work they do, they say it's okay. About 89% of people are satisfied, highly satisfied. Some of the work is not the problem. And by the way, the managers aren't any happier. If you look at the engagement data for managers, maybe they're even less engaged because they're having to be nannies and parents to employees, and then they have the same treatment from above. But it's not the work. I wrote a piece some years ago for the Wall Street Journal on this topic, and they're quite a conservative newspaper, so I ended my piece by saying it's not so much that work sucks, but management sure blows. And they took that out. I have no idea why, but didn't make it in.